T-H-O-D, man.
Back to the lab like they were being chased by home.
Rap legend, actor, controversy magnet. With over 4 million solo albums sold, decades-long run with Wu-Tang Clan, and 130-plus acting credits, Method Man has mastered the art of reinvention. But behind the success, scandals, struggles, and surprises. From legal troubles to Hollywood dominance. Let's break it all down. Before he was Method Man, the effortlessly cool rapper with bars for days, and before the glow-up that has the internet thirsting till date, he was just Clifford Smith, a kid bouncing between Long Island and Staten Island after his parents split. Born on April 1st, 1971 in Staten Island, New York, young Cliff had a mix of influences. His father introduced him to drums and poetry, while the streets introduced him to hustling. And let's just say, he dabbled in both. But hip-hop wasn't his only obsession. Turns out, Meth was deep into comic books, especially Ghost Rider, which later inspired him in many ways. Yes, the tough-as-nails Wu-Tang star was a full-on comic book nerd. Who would have thought? Now, before he was making hit records, he was making ends meet in whatever way he could, juggling low-paying jobs, including a gig at the Statue of Liberty of all places. He also got caught up in the drug game. Simply put, he was everywhere but school. But fate had bigger plans. Meth spent his early years hanging around some future hip-hop royalty, rapping alongside Robert Diggs, later known as RZA, and his cousins Gary Grice, who became GZA, and Russell Jones, better known as Old Dirty Bastard. After a few career setbacks, RZA and GZA regrouped and decided it was time to take over hip-hop, pulling in their longtime friends, including Method Man, Ghostface Killah, Raekwon, Inspector Deck, U-God, and Master Killer. And just like that, Wu-Tang Clan was born in 1991. These guys weren't just good, they were the hottest MCs in the neighborhood, and everyone knew it. As for Meth's stage name, he took it from the 1979 martial arts flick, The Fearless Young Boxer, also called Method Man. Because if he was going to be a rap legend, why not have a name that sounded like a Shaolin warrior? Meanwhile, across the bridge in Newark, New Jersey, another rap star was on the rise. Reginald Noble, better known as Redman, was making a name for himself and described his high school experience as off the hook. He had no idea that one day he and Meth would become hip-hop's ultimate duo. At this point, Method Man and Redman are practically a package deal. The chemistry, the energy, the back-and-forth bars. It's no wonder people have spent years wondering if these two are actually related. I mean, it's not like hip-hop is short on family connections. Wu-Tang itself was built on blood ties, with RZA, GZA, and Old Dirty Bastard all sharing the same family tree. So the idea that Meth and Red might be long-lost cousins? Totally understandable. But nope, they're not related. Just two insanely talented MCs who linked up and made hip-hop history. And while they've stacked up a ridiculous number of nicknames, Meth and Red, Red and Meth, John Blaze and Funk Doc, one thing remains true. Both of them earned their spot in the game on their own terms. Speaking of earning a spot, let's take it back to the early 90s when Wu-Tang Clan was about to flip the rap world upside down. More than just a rap group, Wu-Tang became a movement. The music, fire. The fashion, instantly iconic. And the branding, let's just say if you didn't see the legendary W symbol everywhere, were you even outside? When Wu-Tang eventually secured a deal, they didn't just change their lives. They changed the way industry viewed hip-hop as a business. From the jump, Method Man stood out. While the crew had some of the sharpest MCs the game had ever seen, Meth was one of the few who got a solo track on their debut album, Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. Not only that, but he was the first member to drop a solo project under Wu-Tang's unconventional contract, which allowed each artist to sign wherever they wanted. Meth, he went straight to Def Jam, one of the biggest rap labels of all time. And let's just say he did not disappoint. His 1994 debut album, Tikal, was an instant classic. Now, depending on who you ask, Tikal is either one of the greatest hip-hop albums of the 90s or it's wildly overrated. Some fans swear it's one of Def Jam's best releases, while others argue it doesn't even belong in the same conversation as classic rap albums. And honestly, both sides might have a point. When Tikal dropped in 1994, neither RZA nor Method Man seemed entirely sure of who Meth was as an artist. That raw, gritty Wu-Tang energy was definitely there, but the album had moments where it felt like Meth was still figuring out his own lane. But even with that, the album delivered. It had an insane run throughout the 90s, putting Meth in a league of his own. Let's not forget, he wasn't just another dope rapper. He was now a guy who could go toe-to-toe with anyone. And when we say anyone, we mean anyone. How many rappers can say they worked with both Tupac and Biggie? Not many. Meth was moving in all circles, collaborating with legends and still carving out his own identity. And then came the remix. All I Need was already a solid track on Tikal, but when he teamed up with Mary J. Blige for the remix, it turned into a hip-hop love anthem for the ages. To this day, fans still argue it's the greatest hip-hop love song of all time, and the Grammy win was just the cherry on top. After the massive success of Tikal, he followed up with his second solo album, Tikal 2000 Judgment Day, released in 1998. The album was drenched in Y2K paranoia, apocalyptic themes, and a wild guest list that ranged from his Wu-Tang brothers to Lisa Left Eye Lopez, D'Angelo, Mobb Deep, Chris Rock, Redman, and believe it or not, Donald Trump. The album outsold Tikal, but it wasn't without its critics. Many felt the abundance of skits and its long runtime made it a bit much, but commercially, Meth was still winning. And of course, this was also when his partnership with Redman really started heating up, leading to a string of legendary collabs. The two linked up, started collaborating, and before anyone knew it, they became one of the most legendary rap duos of all time. The duo dropped Blackout in 1999, an album that brought back EPMD-style funk, laid-back humor, and effortless chemistry. Tracks like Da Rock Wilder became instant classics, proving that Meth and Red were one of the best duos in the game. They took that energy on the road, even touring with Jay-Z, cementing themselves as fan favorites, not just in the studio, but on stage too. His third album, Tikal Zero, the prequel, released in 2004, was supposed to be another win, but things got messy. The lead single, What's Happening, featuring Busta Rhymes, did well, but fans weren't happy with the overall project. Meth himself had issues with Def Jam, claiming they pushed for a more commercial sound and sidelined RZA's influence. The album leaned heavily on guest appearances from Missy Elliott, P. Diddy, and Ludacris. And while it sold better than other Wu-Tang solo albums at the time, it didn't sit right with die-hard fans. Still, Method Man wasn't the type to let criticism slow him down. He kept pushing forward, because at this point, music, movies, and TV were all in his lane. Method Man's career has been nothing short of legendary, but even legends face roadblocks. While his transition from rap to acting has been smooth in recent years, especially with his role as the slick lawyer Davis McLean in Power Book 2 Ghost,
I'd classify it more like an occasional arrangement, mutual back scratching, so to speak.
it wasn't always that easy. He's been in films like Bad Shabbos,
Ready for the night?
You talked to my dad?
Yeah, we kind of talked a little bit. Y'all nervous?
No.
and BET's Rebel, and fans still remember his early roles in Belly, How High, and The Wagness.
So what?
Oh, easy, cowboy. I just came to see if we can do something.
And of course, he had that unforgettable run on The Wire as the shady Calvin Cheese Wagstaff.
Oh, your mama need to stop laying your clothes out in the morning.
But getting Hollywood to take him seriously, that was a different battle. Back in 2004, he and Redman took their comedic chemistry from How High to television with Method and Red, a sitcom that had the potential to be great until Fox got in the way.
He kisses boys and girls.
Dr. Dre says we have to stay in bed for at least.
The network watered it down, forced a laugh track, and tried to make it more family-friendly. Meth hated it, and when the show got pulled after just a few episodes, he wasn't exactly heartbroken. Still, that didn't stop him from carving out a legit acting career. He kept showing up in films, took on grittier roles, and now, nearly 2 decades later, he's one of the few rappers who have successfully crossed over into serious acting.
Free when you purchase a submarine.
Hey,
Hey, don't worry. Whatever you miss with your eyes, I catch with my ears.
But for all his success, even Method Man wasn't immune to real-life struggles. In 2010, he found himself in legal trouble, not over music, not over some Hollywood scandal, but over unpaid taxes. He was hit with a tax evasion charge after failing to file returns from 2004 to 2007, racking up a debt of over $106,000. When it all came to light, Meth wasted no time. He hired a financial team, paid off the remaining $40,000 on the spot, and pleaded guilty to attempted failure to pay tax. The good news? The judge gave him a conditional discharge, meaning his record would be wiped clean if he stayed out of trouble. Meth himself admitted that his tax woes weren't due to malicious intent, but, well, because he got high. No, seriously, he literally blamed his weed habit for forgetting to pay. This wasn't the only time his love for the herb put him in trouble. Back in 2007, that love landed him in yet another sticky situation. He was arrested on a minor drug charge, and instead of just paying a fine and keeping it moving, he got hit with a rather interesting punishment. He had to visit 15 New York City high schools to warn students about the dangers of drugs. Yup, the same Method Man who built a career off blazing up had to stand in front of classrooms full of teens and basically tell them, do as I say, not as I do. Either way, he took his L, did the school tour, and kept it pushing. For years, fans saw Method Man as the cool, laid-back rapper with a voice as smooth as butter. But behind the tough exterior and chart-topping hits, he was battling something much deeper. His 1995 duet with Mary J. Blige, I'll Be There For You, You're All I Need to Get By, turned him into an overnight sex symbol, something he never wanted. The record label pushed him as hip-hop's next big superstar, but while the world saw a man on top, behind the scenes, Meth was drowning. He didn't realize just how much public adoration affected his mental health. And when it started fading, depression, anxiety, and substance abuse crept in. And worse, he didn't even realize he'd been depressed since he was a kid. The PTSD he had buried deep down started resurfacing. And suddenly, Method Man, the unshakable, unbreakable rapper, felt completely lost. But Meth fought his way back. He got sober, prioritized his mental and physical health, and found a new passion in fitness. When insomnia had him up all night, he started hitting the gym at 4 a.m., lifting 500-pound deadlifts, and turning his life around. He even swapped out his old habits for a mix of protein shakes and cannabis in the mornings, a routine that keeps him sharp as ever. And the glow-up was unmatched. Fans now follow his fitness journey on social media, where he shares everything, from intense workouts to motivational posts. It's a far cry from the reckless days of the past. Since he has never been shy about his love for weed, it was only a matter of time before he turned that passion into a serious business move. In 2020, he launched Takao, his very own cannabis company. And no, this wasn't just some celebrity cash grab. Meth made it very clear that his goal was to bring more black ownership into the billion-dollar weed industry. He's always had a deep connection to cannabis, but over the years, that relationship has evolved. So instead of just rapping about it, he decided to profit from it. And honestly, it makes perfect sense. Method Man and weed go together like the WUTANG Clan in Staten Island. Speaking of Staten Island, earlier this year, the Wu-Tang legend was caught up in some serious allegations, allegedly throwing 7 punches at a man inside a Crunch Fitness gym. But here's where it gets real spicy. The guy he supposedly went off on was none other than his daughter's ex-boyfriend from over a decade ago. Now, according to the New York Post, a complaint was filed with the NYPD, but when Billboard followed up, there was no record of an arrest. And Method Man, he shut the rumors down immediately, saying he was never taken in. But still, people couldn't help but wonder, what had him that mad after all these years? And speaking of things that get him mad, let's talk about his very private marriage and the wild cheating allegations that have followed him for years. For over 30 years, Method Man has been with Tamika Smith, the woman who's held him down through everything. They started dating in 1992, had 3 kids together, and made it official in 2001. But unlike other hip-hop wives, Tamika has made it very clear she wants nothing to do with the spotlight. She's always been behind the scenes, even working as Meth's personal assistant at one point. Their kids, Shaquan, Raekwon, and Cheyenne, are all doing their thing. Raekwon is making a name for himself in modeling, while Shaquan, who raps as Fifth Power or Power, and Cheyenne, who raps as Shay, are stepping into their father's hip-hop shoes. But while his kids are embracing fame, Meth has spent years trying to keep his marriage out of the headlines. Unfortunately, that hasn't stopped the scandals from creeping in. Now let's get into the real tea. One of the biggest scandals in Method Man's life from none other than Wendy Williams. Yup, that Wendy Williams. Back in 2021, while promoting her biopic and documentary, Wendy just casually decided to drop a bombshell, claiming that she and Method Man had a full-blown affair back in 2006. And according to her, while they were having pillow talk, Meth spilled that he was also creeping with his wife's doctor, the same very doctor treating Tamika for breast cancer at the time. Now let's be real. If that story is true, that's beyond messy. But here's what's even wilder. Method Man never directly denied it. He did pop off on Wendy before, especially after she was the one who first leaked Tamika's cancer diagnosis, something the family definitely didn't want public. But as for her affair claims, silence. And Wendy being Wendy, she made sure to tell her side loud and clear. But that's not all. Another scandal that had people side-eyeing Meth involved former video vixen Modest Jones. She claimed in 2017 that she had twins, and the father, Method Man. Now, Meth never addressed the allegations, but here's what's interesting. He never denied it either. And if there's one thing we know about Method Man, it's that he will shut down rumors if he feels like it. So, did he really father some secret twins? We may never know. Despite all the messiness, Method Man is still out here winning. At 54 years old and with a net worth of $14 million, he's living good. He hasn't dropped a studio album since 2022's Meth Lab Season 3, The Rehab, but he's still in demand. Snatching up features with Redman, 38 Spesh, Skyzoo, Your Old Droog, Ghostface Killer, Marlon Craft, and more in 2024 alone. And check out this brand new single he just released with Redman. They still got it.